Thanks, Buhle. Cabinet has approved an intervention in Mangaung Municipality, which includes Bloemfontein, placing it firmly in national government's hands. Now, the National Cogta department also discovered that the municipality was facing serious financial difficulties. Ramaphosa will visit the Mangaung Metro Municipality for the second district development model, presidential Imbizo, to the Free State province. The president will be accompanied by Sisi Ntombela, the premier of the Free State, and other cabinet ministers. Joining us now to unpack this is political analyst Prof Setholego Matebesi. Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor Matebesi. We know that as we take a look, perhaps an aerial view of Mangaung, we know that poor service delivery, court battles and irregular appointments have been some of the biggest cries from community members. What's your take on the work that is needed to ensure that service delivery is indeed delivered to the people of this community?
Well, I strongly believe it's a very good move by the presidency. We all know it's the second district in Imbizo, and it's based on the State of the Nation address. And the people of the Free State, not only Mangaung, are yearning for services. And this, for me, it's a tangible intervention effort by the presidency and other ministers, other stakeholders. But at the end of the day, we all know after this 2-day Imbizo, the president and his entourage will leave the Free State. And that's where the problem lies. Will service delivery eventually reach the people of the Free State? I don't think so, because the fundamental problems will still be. And the sad part about all this is that it has to do, in certain instances, with internal battles for the soul of the African National Congress in the Free State.
These internal battles are the ones that perhaps added a lot more conflict in the area because of the internal infightings that have affected people on the ground, service delivery not being achieved, and of course exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. The people of the Free State are unhappy. What will be needed in this regard? Because we know that the president will be out there to listen to community members' concerns and tasked with offering some solutions.
Well, there's a few basic things that will be needed. And first of all, I strongly believe that it is up to the councillors that have been elected. I don't think the opposition has much to do. It's all about the majority party in the council, and not only in the as I've indicated in Mangaung, but the rest of the Free State, because there are areas where there are huge problems in terms of service delivery. But as I've often lamented, the residents of all these different towns of the Free State also have to play their part. And one way to do that is to pay for services to assist their local councillors in trying to address this. What I will say, if there's absolutely no tangible intervention, then our municipality will definitely collapse. But from a political point of view, issues such as governance needs to be strengthened. I mean, if your largest municipality is not functioning optimally, then you've got huge problem, and that problem can only be arrested by political interference. And I'm glad that the national government have taken a decision to put the Mangaung at least under administration. But at the end of the day, these councillors should also understand the responsibility of having been elected to serve the people. But more than that, I think a more firmer stance and action needs to be taken about people who are not doing what they have been elected to do.
Government officials have already earmarked that problem. We heard Cogta Minister Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma saying that the municipalities are working in silos and that they are indeed the weakest link when it comes to some of the problems in the Free State. We've also seen rather recently former Presidents Thabo Mbeki and Kgalema Motlanthe going into the Free State to try and instill some sort of unity and renewal, you know, speaking to a party that is committed to finding some lasting solutions in the Free State.
Yeah, most definitely. And if you look at the significance of the Free State, I mean, it's the largest province for the African National Congress in terms of membership. And even if you look at the overall results of any outcome of any elections, you will see that the Free State have always been ardent supporters of the African National Congress. But historically also, the Free State means a lot for this country. And you do not want such strategic provinces to encounter. In any case, we don't want in any of our provinces to encounter these kind of problems. But the root cause of all this, with all the intervention, and it seems as if there's absolutely been no shift, we should also understand that this is a province where the current suspended ANC Secretary General comes from. And that's why the tension is so high. But I strongly believe that the African National Congress, and hopefully with the intervention of the presidency, they will be able to broach these complex issues that is facing the organization, because at the end of the day, I've been passing almost on a daily basis past the local government, and each time you will see that there are blockages, and I think the service delivery forum, sitting in the offices, that for me is indicative of things not going well, and it's unacceptable, because if people cannot do their job on a daily basis, then it simply means that service delivery will suffer. And I can also lament, since the metropolitan Mangaung has become a metropolitan, the situation has actually worsened. I mean, Bloemfontein is so faulty that you will strongly believe that it's actually a dumping site, and that is unacceptable. A metropolitan municipality that can't even collect a refuse on a weekly basis. So these are the issues, the fundamental issues. The people are not complaining because they find it very easy to complain. But I strongly believe that maybe after this weekend, there will be a little bit of shift in terms of enhancing service delivery. But the root cause also need to be dealt with, and that is this political infighting. And it's political infighting for nothing else but to have power and access to resources, and not to advance the interests of the residents of the Free State.
Political infighting will then lead to some political pledges that could be expected as the President rounds up his discussions with community members. How then do community members hold government officials accountable?
Well, one way, because we can also not condone situations where people are burning down their own facilities, because that is how communities have been trying to close the gap over the space between government and themselves, and that is not the way to go. Regular communication, and we've seen, I mean, I've done studies in South Africa on service delivery protests in more than 30 localities throughout South Africa, and each time there's credible evidence that a community have at least tried to engage with the government over a period of time, and once that communication gap is not closed, then you will always see people then embarking on or using alternative means to try and engage with the government. But I strongly believe that communities have the right to call a meeting when their ward councillor it's not there. And remember, we've got the most impressive participatory governance structures. We thought about even community-based workers who are the ears and eyes of the government at local government. And then you've got your ward councillors, and then your representative proportional councillors. And at the end of the day, you've got the councillors and all that. You can name all these different structures. And the question is, why are our participatory governance structures failing in even highlighting these things or closing the gap between residents and communities? communities. And perhaps we need to go back to the basics where we put communities at the center, but communities also need to understand they've got a responsibility to pay for services. They've got a responsibility to keep their own environment clean, but also to support their local councils.
What about the role of embattled, suspended ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule? We know that he is now launching another court bid in that asbestos matter, saying that the High Court erred in its decision. How relevant is he as we take a look at the Free State politics?
No, very relevant. You can never wish away the suspended Secretary General, not only from the Free State, but remember, you've got a chairperson who's been in the Free State for more than 20 years, and then he served as Premier as well. So definitely he will still have some influence what is going in the Free State. In fact, the ANC is divided into two camps, and whether they don't want to, but sometimes even their own leaders speak about it, but when we speak about it, we are labeled as counter-revolutionary. But that is fine, because the world over, politics are being, analyzed, and more so if you are a governing party. So for me, the suspended Secretary General still have a huge following within the Free State, and sometimes even if it's not openly, we should never equate these court appearances with the number of people who appear there. But and just imagine how disruptive those people who are fighting for their political careers can be, and this is what we see. And it's not only in the Free State, right in Mangaung, right through the Free State, right through South Africa, we can see how the ANC is divided, and sadly so. It's a glorious organization, but it seems as if people are so preoccupied by supporting elements within the African National Congress, who I strongly believe that has become so disruptive that even the soul of the African National Congress is barely surviving. But for me, the suspended Secretary General still has following in the Free State, and to a large extent, that perhaps also is indicative of the tension within the different branches of the ANC, the district, and even at provincial level.
Very well. We're going to have to leave it there for now, and thank you for your time. Political analyst Professor Setholego Matebesi speaking to the political dynamics in the Free State ahead of President Cyril Ramaphosa's presidential Imbizo taking place in that province. A little later on in the show, we'll be dipping into those developments.